morning, colleagues. May we be seated as we are about to start. May we be seated. Before we start, while we're still waiting for people to sit, I would like to observe a moment of safety. Please be aware of potential tripping hazard in reference to the cables on the floor. Be careful of that. And in reference to the bath ablution facilities for both male and females, just out these doors, either on my right or on my left, both the male and female bathrooms will be there. And please also note that all the other doors can be used as an emergency exit in case of any emergency. It just depends on where the crisis is at. So, yeah. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, colleagues. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I would like to welcome everybody to the Hefma Conference 2024. To the management of the University of Mpumalanga as the co-host of the Hefma 2024, the distinguished delegates from the Department of Higher Education and Training, delegates from various institutions, distinguished sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. My name is Maureen Malaka, and I will be the facilitator for the program today. And it is a great pleasure to welcome you today. The theme for the conference this year is Sustainable Campus of the Future. Sustainable Campus of the Future. And the program is shaped to attract your interest. We have speakers who are dedicated to educate the next generation of maintenance or facilities management, or you refer to infrastructure. Let me just give you a picture of Hefma, just a little bit about Hefma. Hefma was established in 2001. Hefma by a company called TIMCON. It was called the Tertiary Institutions Maintenance Conference. This year, colleagues, it's the 23rd Hefma Conference. The mission founded then, which was in 2001, read as follows: empower facilities managers to develop, maintain, and sustain high-quality facilities and infrastructure. I bet you, colleagues, we have not changed that. It's still relevant even to date. So we are thankful of the forebearers of Hefma for the vision they had around Hefma. Hence, we still mandated as Hefma to work with universities as far as the benchmarking processes are concerned on the facilities management platform. Colleagues, before my program for today will be the welcoming address, and it will be followed by the officiation by the Hefma president. It will also be followed by the VC's panel, VC and principals of TVET's panel of discussion. And I also have a choir. We have the UMP choir here with us today. They will sing 3 songs. The first 2, we can be seated, but as soon as they sing the national anthem, may we all please stand in that regard. So, Brajo, if you can come in with your choir, Brajo. The choir is about to come in. Let's just give them 2 minutes, or a minute or so, a second or so. They'll be here just now. Also for noting, in terms of the changes on the program, is the fact that the Vice Chancellor, UNP, Professor Toko Maekiso, will not be able to address us this morning, but had requested that Dr. Paul Mamiza assist in that regard. So I'll introduce accordingly as the time comes closer. May the choir come through. May we all stand for the national anthem. Thank you. A round of applause for the choir. Thank you so much, UNP. Thank you so much. Thank you, choir. Colleagues, we're just going to proceed. We're not going to delay. Just for noting, colleagues, this year's Hefma Conference, there's about 225 registered delegates, and that is the first again. For the welcome address, I'm going to call our distinguished guest, Dr. Paul Mamiza. He is the Dean of Students at the University of Mpumalanga, a position he's held since 2015. He is also a member of University Management Committee. Dr. Mamiza has served in a number of positions in the higher education sector. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mamiza.
Thanks so much, Program Director. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You know, being used to a learning environment and being a teacher at heart, if one says good morning, ladies and gentlemen, one expects a little bit of some feedback. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to do the welcoming remarks, as the program director has indicated. And I'm doing this on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Thoko Maekiso, who is currently in Beijing in China attending the summit of the International Association of University Vice Chancellors. She did indicate when we were communicating yesterday that I must pass her apology that she couldn't be with you in this conference today, and also to welcome you into this house of ours, the home we call UMP, an institution that we are so proud of. And she also requested that I must pass her well wishes for the conference. She trusts that the proceedings will go well and that the aims and objectives of the conference will be achieved. I wish Program Director to acknowledge the presence of the president of Hefma, Mr. Lindokuhle Mzolo. We want to welcome you, sir, and your colleagues from Hefma to our home, UMP. Also, we have in our midst Mr. Samuel Zungu, the DDG from the Department of Higher Education, who is also here with us. And we welcome you, sir, and we are happy you were able to make it to this conference. We also have vice chancellors present here, in particular Prof. Crouch from Sol Plaatje University, who is also here with us. There are also principals from TVET colleges who are also here this morning. And I also want to recognize all the speakers who will be sharing their thoughts and views with the guests and members who are in attendance here. To us as the University of Mpumalanga, it's something that we appreciate every time we've got people coming to our space. And the reason why we do that as an African university is because we also understand that in the African context, when you talk of a home, it is not about the beauty of the buildings that you have, the facilities that you have, which we also happen to have here at UMP, by the way. But it's also about the number of guests, people who visit your home. In our African context, a home is defined by not only the number of people who visit your home, but also the quality of those people who visit your home. And the presence of Hefma here today also confirms to us as UMP, it's an affirmation that indeed we are a good home, and we are proud of that. So we want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for choosing to come to us for this conference. I saw that the mission of Hefma is to empower facilities managers to develop, maintain, and sustain high-quality facilities and infrastructure for higher education institutions. Now, this mission spells the commitment of the association in ensuring that higher education institutions have facilities that indeed promote and support the delivery of the academic project, which has to lead to the success of the students. And that to us as UMP and the sector is something that we really appreciate, because it would then suggest that we all understand the core business of higher education institutions all over the world, but particularly in our country. It is important that managers of facilities are not only capacitated to ensure the resourcing and upkeep of facilities, but also to understand the ever-changing higher education landscape in order to appreciate, keep abreast, and respond accordingly to these changes. I'm also happy, Program Director, that the theme for this conference, as you also indicated, is Sustainable Campus of the Future. Sustainable Campus of the Future. It's clear to me that this conference acknowledges that facilities, professionals, and practitioners need to discuss and come to an understanding of, among others, the shape, the nature, and the size of a campus of the future. Now, understanding a campus of the future implies, in my view, understanding three core aspects. The first one, the client of the future. what kind of student are universities and colleges going to serve in the future. The product or the services that have to be provided to this client of the future. We also have to understand those services. And thirdly, the delivery mode that will be required in the future. Now, the campus of the future should be cognizant of these three aspects or realities. I need to also hasten, ladies and gentlemen, to mention that this future that we are talking about is not a future that is far away. It's a future that we are able to see. We can even start to smell it, and we can start to experience it. The impact of artificial intelligence is one aspect that tells us about this campus of the future, which the facilities should respond to. As we discuss the campus of the future and what its needs would be, it is imperative, also in my view, that we do not leave the users of these facilities behind. We need to take them along. One major area where the users should be actively involved is taking care and looking after those facilities. That which can be defined as a state-of-the-art or state-of-the-art facilities and iconic infrastructure today can easily be nothing tomorrow if the user is left behind and does not value and look after those facilities. The main users at a university and college setting are the students and staff. We need to come up with strategies to get them involved so that they can appreciate and value the facilities at their disposal. Our government injects resources into the provision and development of facilities, and when they look at these facilities, they should realize that those who are using the facilities are taking care of them. Every time here at UMP, we have got colleagues from DHED. I saw Mr. Tiamo and the DDGs here. We are always happy because when they see our facilities, they will realize that we are taking very good care of them. And we are so proud of that as UMP. Let me share with you, colleagues, the UMP's Love My Campus campaign. You may have seen some of the students in the choir wearing T-shirts written, Love My Campus. This was a deliberate decision taken by the university. As a new institution, we knew that all that which we have, which is new, state-of-the-art and iconic, cannot remain in that state unless we take a decision and an action to assist ourselves in looking after our facilities. In September of 2017, the University of Mpumalanga launched this campaign, which we call Love My Campus. We launched it at both our campuses here in Bombela and the other campus in Siabuswa. The aim of this campaign is to instill pride in our staff and students about their university. That's why we say, Love My Campus. And the way it's written, we are not saying love the campus. We take ownership. So the person who is wearing the T-shirt says, this is my campus. I'm communicating a message to you that you must love it. All new students and new staff at UMP are provided or issued or given these T-shirts. It's a bit of an investment, but the returns are worthy the investment that we do. Then the T-shirts are worn by staff and students. We have what we call the Love My Campus Fridays. The third Friday of the month, we expect everybody at UMP to wear these T-shirts. But like I've indicated, you saw others wearing them here. If you walk around, you will see other students in particular wearing the T-shirts. They love these T-shirts so much that they can't wait for the third Friday of the month. We tried to say to them, don't wear these T-shirts, only wear them on the third Friday, but we are losing on that one. But what is good is that on that particular third Friday, many students and staff of the university wear these T-shirts. Now, the purpose of this particular campaign is to instill in everybody at the University of Mpumalanga so that we can love our campus, we take care of our campus. We then run campaigns, the Love My Campus campaigns, which are in the form of competitions. From time to time, we make a call to staff and students to come up with programs and projects and activities that support the Love My Campus campaign. And I will tell you that when we make that call, we get proposals and submissions of other activities that would have already taken place where people are doing things on their own to promote and take care of our campuses. Some of the campaigns are cleaning campaigns, environmental friendly programs, the promotion of no littering campaigns, water and energy saving campaigns, and so forth. Students come up with these programs and projects, and they run them within the university. Our students are now used to the concept that if you see someone throwing any litter anywhere, it is your responsibility to remind them about the Love My Campus campaign. If you choose not to do that, you will pick the litter yourself because you see it. That's what we are promoting here to our students in particular. And that helps in keeping our campuses very clean. We have also succeeded in promoting the love for our campus. One very striking observance is that during those times, at universities, there's that season of protests and so forth. Even if there's nothing happening, students seem to feel like, hey, let's do something a little bit. They even take it like it's a hobby. Let's just show that we are still young people and so forth. And if they decide to do those things, what we have observed at UMP, even during serious protests, our students do not touch our facilities. Even those who are leading, you will see, their messages when they communicate, they even mention to others, don't touch our facilities. So it means we've been able to instill that love for their campus. And this we really appreciate, and we do believe that the role of this Love My Campus campaign is actually being visible. During the orientation week in the beginning of the year, when we talk to the students, the new students who are coming here, during that particular week, the Dean of Students also has a slot in the program to come and talk to new students about this campaign. So we don't even wait for them to be part of the institution as having been started classes and so forth. Whilst they are still being oriented, we do talk to them so that they understand this campaign, which we run all the time. Let me conclude, Program Director, by wishing all of you, on behalf of our Vice Chancellor and the management of the university, a fruitful engagement over the next few days. I do hope that by the end of this conference, we shall all have gained better insight in the provision and the management of appropriate facilities for our institutions. Do enjoy our beautiful UMP and our gorgeous Mpumalanga province, the place of the rising sun. I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mamiza. We sure love our campus. Rest assured that the constituency of Hefma love this campus. That's why we're here today. Okay, colleagues, without wasting time, I'm going to call the Hefma president, Mr. Lindo Mzolo, to officiate the conference 2024.
It's quite interesting, Madam Program Director, that these mechanisms are not friendly to people of my height. I saw the Dr. Mamiza as well succumbing to gravitational forces. Thank you, Madam Director. Program Director, Mayor Maureen Malaka, members of the Executive Committee here, principal representatives of institutions and members of the institutional forum, Hefma past leaders, distinguished speakers and sponsors, principals and executive members of institutions that are present here, sponsors, presidents of councils and other associations that are here, colleagues from the media fraternity, distinguished delegates, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, receive my warm greetings from the province of the rising sun this noon. It is with great pleasure and honor that I officiate the Hefma 2024 conference held under the theme Sustainable Campus of the Future. This conference takes place within the context of the 10th anniversary celebrations of the University of Mpumalanga, a significant milestone which is intertwined with the 23rd founding anniversary of Hefma Southern Africa. Hefma was established by coming together of higher education institutions to create collaboration and peer benchmarking platform at the erstwhile Tertiary Institutions Maintenance Conference in year 2001. One of the hallmarks of Hefma's founding is its benchmarking reports, which capture the health and performance of our constituency and used to be a topical resource creation output in the sector. Our founding fathers and mothers had a vision to become an association of choice for higher education institutions in the whole of Southern Africa. This vision was coupled with a mission to empower facilities management professionals to develop, maintain, and sustain high-quality facilities and infrastructure for higher education institutions. Hefma therefore envisaged sustainability long before the SDGs were adopted and declared by the United Nations. However, upon the Vision 2030 and SDGs declaration in 2015, Hefma immediately developed a strategy central to which was sustainability and growth in pursuit of its mission and to achieve its vision. This strategy was emphatic on collaboration with like-minded organizations to achieve common and shared goals. I am pleased to announce that 23 years later, Hefma is still committed to its mission and has made enormous progress towards realizing its vision. The executive started the year 2024 with a strategic breakaway, a creative exercise whose aim was to draw up a strategic program to achieve set targets and priorities as mandated by the last AGM. EXCO emerged with an actionable plan, setting out key deliverables, and just followed this plan. The plan translated into the following achievements. One, our conference here today is CPD accredited for SACP CMP, for SACQSP, SAFMA, EXA, and SAMA. The second is there has been enhanced relationship with the key stakeholder, which is the Department of Higher Education, who recognizes Hefma as a strategic collaboration and benchmarking platform for higher education institutions. Hefma mutually recognizes DHET as the major stakeholder and partner. We, in collaboration with DHET, infused all 50 South African TVET colleges and thereby exponentially growing Hefma constituency base. We, however, appreciate that this milestone is not just a quantitative development, it must translate to qualitative outcomes, as TVET colleges expect value out of this. The Hefma Odd 2024 summer school students included someone from a TVET college, Ms. Nosabelo Nyao from Tshwane South TVET College, and I hope she's here today, as well as Ms. Chisebe Nesengani from the University of Venda, who will present on this subject later on. They were profoundly commended by Odd for being able leaders with very strong leadership qualities. Hefma was encouraged by the special invite to partake in the DHET-led meeting with COOs and DVCs of operations of universities, which took place on the 9th of February 2024, wherein it received a vote of confidence and a pledge of fullest support from these senior executives. This meeting was essential in positioning the facilities management subject at the top of the executive agenda. We further joined Africa Facilities Management Association to expand our collaborative capacity across the continent and beyond SADC boundaries. I am glad that the Vice Chair of AFM, Mayor Maria Morapedi, is gracing us here today. Our participation at the SABC Technical Committee on Facilities Management saw Hefma being assigned to not less than 5 International Standardization Organization working groups on standardization and reviews thereof. These working groups are as follows: Working Group on Performance Measurement, Working Group on Revision of ISO 41001, Working Group on Maintenance Management, Working Group on Digital Data and Technology, Working Group on Sustainability and Stewardship. In the same year, we initiated a DHET, USAF, Hefma, and PERCO forum, whose first session explored capacity development for university infrastructure, and we are going to expand to the TVET sector as well. Vigorous brand promotion led to improved recognition of the association, and through new business partnerships, significant growth in website viewership and followership in our pages. Hefma regional chapters gotten off the ground to become collaboration and benchmarking instrument at localized level. Educative programs and workshops recorded the highest attendance ever. Indeed, collaboration is the new currency. Even though one of us, the elected treasurer, resigned, but I want to thank Ms. Lamarisa Kubai for stepping in to ensure that there was no leadership vacuum in that environment, and for the excellent job that she did in exercising good governance and oversight over our finances. As we gear up into the future, we have not only to envision, but to also shape the future we want to see. One of the visions articulated by DHET in the Green Paper on post-school education is that by 2030, South Africa ought to have increased university enrollment to 1.5 million, while at the same time increasing the participation rate in colleges or other post-school institutions, such as the proposed community education and training centers, to 4 million. These are massive targets that will require significant funding to ensure that we have the facilities across universities, colleges, and training centers to accommodate these numbers. The Department of Higher Education and Training supports the development, upgrading, refurbishment, alterations, and backlog maintenance of infrastructure for at least 24 South African universities through the Infrastructure and Efficiency Grant. which was introduced during the 2007-2008 financial year to address university infrastructure challenges. Hefma wishes and hopes that we will see such deliberate investment effort to the favor of TVET colleges. Hefma is also exploring ways and means of meaningfully working with the colleges to navigate their infrastructural challenges. And we believe that through strong collaboration with key stakeholders like DHET and others, we will achieve this. Since 2007-2008 financial year, 5 cycles thus far, if we exclude the 6th cycle, because some funds were reprioritized, have been injected for major new investment for infrastructure development at universities, amounting to about 28.6 billion rands. On average, each institution received approximately 1.2 billion rands over a period of 14 years, but of course, actually amounts varied substantially. However, it is notable that the Walter Sisulu University received the greatest total, amounting to about 1.73 billion rands, followed by the Tshwane University of Technology at 1.63 billion rands, and the University of South Africa received the least at just 635.9 million rands. I'm sure Mr. Rantigo will be glad and entertained by this arithmetic, because what it means is that Hefma constituency is one of the biggest consumers of the service that is regulated by council, and I already see synergy for collaboration there, sir. It is against this background that there is dire need for sustainable and smart campuses of higher education. The Sustainable Development Goals, as adopted and declared by the United Nations in 2015, also envision a sustainable future, provided that deliberate action is taken to achieve such a future. The theme Sustainable Campus of the Future of the Hefma 2024 conference derives from the above background and also the vision of Hefma strategy. In conclusion, colleagues, I wish to thank all EXCO members, institutional forum members, advisory committee members, the broader Hefma community, and our partners particularly for the role they have played and continue to play for the success and sustainability of Hefma. Special thanks goes to our sponsors, without whom we wouldn't have been able to successfully deliver a conference of this magnitude. As an NPO, we only rely on our membership fees and good Samaritans to be able to do our work, and it is because of you that Hefma is in a financially sustainable position up to this day. I wish to thank the Vice-Chancellor, Prof. Mayegiso in absentia, members of the Management Executive Committee of the University of Mpumalanga for partnering with Hefma to be the host venue of the Hefma 2024 conference. I also thank everybody who contributed to the success of this event, and as we officially declare the Hefma 2024 conference open, let's continue to work together to meaningfully make positive impact in post-school education sector as we explore the future of sustainable campuses that will outlive us. I thank you for listening to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Hefma President, Mr. Lindokuhle Mzola. Thank you. And thank you, President, for the directive and direction. Lindo has contributed so much in this platform as far as the facilities management and the Hefma platform is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Mr. Mzola. Okay, we are behind by 30 minutes in terms of time. And we are about to start with the panel of discussions of the Vice-Chancellors and Principals. I will introduce the facilitator first, and the facilitator will introduce the panel members. Colleagues, I would like to call to the podium our facilitator, the veteran at Hefma, I call him, Dr. Joe Manyaka, the Senior Director, Facilities Management at University of Johannesburg. He's been Hefma President twice, in 2014 and in 2019. He's a member of the Advisory Committee of Hefma hence the success of this conference and all the other achievements that Hefma has achieved this year. Dr. Joe Manyaka. Colleagues, has somebody seen Dr. Joe somewhere? Let me just check from the outside, 2 minutes. I finally found Dr. Joe. You were lost. Dr. Joe, over to you. Over to you. Thank you.
Morning, colleagues. My name is Joe, for those who don't know me. We're having a first of its kind session in this Hefma Conference, where we have a panel discussion, supposed to be Vice-Chancellors for a panel discussion. One of the Vice-Chancellors is traveling. She's not here, Prof. Maiki, so the one who owns or who runs this campus. I've got 3 colleagues who are going to discuss with us some of the questions that are pertinent from our sector, facilities management, Professor Andrew Krause from Sol Plaatje University. He became Vice-Chancellor in 2020, April. His first days in office was to navigate the COVID and ensure that he forges a good relationship and plan to manage how students are going to receive education, because that is the main task of universities. He also emphasizes or places a very major emphasis on the engagement with the stakeholders, engaging them, and also to create a good relationship with his staff, with his stakeholders, with his department and faculties. That is Prof. Krause. Can stand up for them to see you.
Thank you.
I have Mr. Elias Mbuyani, an educator. He holds various degrees, and he's now working towards his PhD. His topic is the role of, okay, let me not go to his topic. He has 32 continuous service in education, 32 years continuous service in education, and is currently a deputy principal and principal of Tlanzeni TVET College. Mr. Mbuyani, can you also stand up for them to see you? Mr. Jack Mudiba, sorry, I nearly said Jack Mabaso. Jack Mudiba, he has got experience of 27 years within the sector. He served in the public sector for 8 years, and he joined the Palale TVET College, where he is an acting deputy principal, a corporate. He's also doing his PhD. We hope next year, when he comes back, he will have it. Thanks, colleagues. What I will do now, I will request each candidate or each principal or VC to come and have a 5 minutes brief on the topic that were given, and thereafter we'll have questions for them to answer some questions, and if we have time, we'll also extend to the audience to ask them questions. I'll start with you, Prof. If you want to stand up for your discovery,
Thank you, Program Director, and thank you to the organizers for inviting me to do a presentation here. When I flew in last night, sure. Can you hear me when I speak here? Okay.
this one works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when I flew in last night, I heard people saying that it's very hot here in Mpumalanga, but I said to them they don't know what hot is. If you are regularly exposed to temperatures between 30 and 40 on summer, and you're exposed to temperatures that go down to -10 in winter, then you don't worry about climate anymore. You just accept that it's hot or that it's cold. So it is not hot in Mpumalanga. I think you must just accept that. I've been asked to make some comments about the university that I'm working at, Solplaatje University in Kimberley, as well as to talk about how we responded to COVID and some of the learnings from COVID and how we're implementing some of those things currently. Solplaatje University is one of the 2 new universities that was established post-1994. You're sitting in one of them now, University of Mpumalanga. So to a certain extent, we are the twins of higher education. Other than Mpumalanga, which is sort of outside of the city, Solplaatje University is slap bang in the middle of Kimberley. And it was established to a certain extent to rejuvenate the inner city of Kimberley. It has 3 campuses within the city, a north campus, a central campus, and a south campus. And the north campus is probably the most undeveloped of the 3 campuses. The central and south campuses are probably the best developed of the 3. Because it's in the middle of the town, I signed a town and gown agreement with the municipality, the Solplaatje municipality. Sometimes they confuse the two. They think that we are the municipality and the municipality is the actual university. But be it as it may, we signed a town and gown agreement. And the town and gown agreement has to do with the fact that we want to transition the city of Kimberley, which has historically been a mining town for the past 150 years, from a mining town into a university town. So in that respect, the university have taken over vacant land and vacant buildings from the university as part of its inception. It's also renovating some buildings to make it fit for purpose for the academic project. And it was just donated 1 building by De Beers Consolidated Mines, which is now considering renovating for the purposes of its administrative personnel. It's the old Harry Oppenheimer house, which was the diamond sorting house in Kimberley. The university currently has around just under 6,000 students. It's grown from 124 during its first intake in 2014, and it's grown quite fast. And part of the growth of the university has to be synchronized with the rollout of its buildings. So we're currently busy with 3 buildings that has to be completed by the end of this year, which will bring the total number of buildings, including its gatehouses to almost 40 plus buildings. So you can see it has grown quite exponentially over the last couple of years. The university has invested heavily in infrastructure, and some of our older buildings now that's almost 9-10 years old are now showing wear and tear, and we're starting to spend more maintenance on that. But the newer ones, as might be the case, will obviously have less maintenance. We invest heavily in maintenance because I believe one should not skimp on that, as the opening speaker have said, that one must look after the buildings. We also do a lot of investment in training and continuous professional development for our staff. We have similar programs on keep your campus clean. We have sustainability programs which are run by both our staff and students to make sure that we look after our buildings. And we're currently in the process of having some of these buildings transitioned for solar paneling. All our new build the coming 3 buildings that we will take into operation at the end of this year will all be fit for purpose for sustainability, meaning that they will be self-contained both from a energy point of view, but also from a water point of view. Kimberley is on the edge of the desert, and unlike here or many other campuses where water is not a problem, we have to be cognizant of the fact that we have to make provision for water. So we have also a sustainability project in terms of boreholes, the treatment of water and recycling of water, so that we make efficient use of the water there. When COVID hit us in 2020, I just arrived at the institution and I came from Wits University, where I was responsible for the online smart classroom technology project and teaching and learning there. So I had some skills to take with me to Salt Lake University. And when COVID hit us, we transitioned the university from a contact university to an online university within 10 weeks, 6 to 10 weeks. We were one of 10 universities that completed the academic program in 2020 in the year it was meant to be completed. We know that other universities had some challenges around that, but it's due to the fact that we have modern state-of-the-art infrastructure that is fit for purpose. Our classrooms are really state-of-the-art, smart classrooms, especially the new ones that we have taken into consideration. So to a certain extent, we already have a sustainable campus that is looking at the future from the point of view of teaching and learning. It does take a lot of training to make sure that our staff as well as our students keep the campus in the neat and perfect and pristine condition that it is. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Prof. Kraus. Our next 5-minute presenter is Mr. Elias Mbuyani. 5 minutes. Thank you.
No. Thank you, Program Director. Colleagues, can I just establish if I'm audible enough? Sure. No, thank you. First, I nearly thanked the Program Director earlier about dealing with the disparities of the gender in front here. But when he gave me 5 minutes, I'm withdrawing that appreciation, because if you give a typical teacher 5 minutes to speak, you must know you are suffocating him. With that being said, I must say I am going to be talking to the subject of the day, which is the perspective from the top with regard to the area of blended teaching and learning. We all know that what the devastating impact of COVID-19 was. But from that, there was a number of learning, positive take-homes that we can take. And we, at the level of this management at colleges, I took it for granted that I'm already introduced. I am known to be a principal of a TVET college. And at the level of TVET colleges, senior management there, we are embracing the blended teaching and learning. With all its challenges, it brought a lot of opportunities. And we are saying, despite those challenges, we are embracing it, we are going to run with it. But running with it entails a number of areas that need to be addressed. Amongst the challenges that need to be addressed, which colleges I can already confirm that they are working on that. Amongst the key challenges is the issue of infrastructure. I don't think anyone will debate that. That is almost a given. Infrastructure to do blended learning at TVET colleges is a big challenge. There is also a clear element of the digital divide. We don't have, because of the socio-economic status of our country, we are not at the same wavelength, and that provides huge challenges when you are to offer blended teaching and learning. But also very true is the issue of capacity. Capacity amongst both lecturers and students. We are lacking in terms of the capacity there. There is a lot of work to be done, but I'm glad to say, besides that being a tall challenge, there is clear evidence on the ground that work is done to capacitate our lecturers and also to assist our students to come on board. There are also legislative bottlenecks that I don't want to be shy to talk to them. As a conference, I think we need to also raise those issues that need to be addressed. There are issues of legislations here. We are expected, obviously, we agree, we do need to improve our infrastructure to move into blended teaching and learning, online and everything else, but our systems are not really synchronized. We still don't have an examination that is friendly to teaching, to online teaching and learning. That is an area that needs to be also addressed. The issue of connectivity. I'm sure we all are from different backgrounds, from rural places and so forth. Connectivity at rural areas is almost non-existent. And that is where our students are coming from. That is where our lecturers are coming from. They are experiencing those challenges. But you can see from these few things that I'm raising, that to really bring it on board and massify it is going to take a lot in terms of finances. I'm glad my boss is here today. I'm saying we still need more. There is also an element of job security from our teaching staff. In one of our campuses, I was saying, guys, let us improve this to be smart classrooms and so forth. Then they say, whose work do you want to take now? Before we knew labor was on it, the principal, what are you doing? Are you reversing our gains? We have fought, we want our people to have jobs, and you are taking jobs away. So it's a challenge. We can't water that down as if it's not existing. Labor is there on us. But like I said, there are a lot of opportunities and benefits that are there in support of even our government of national unity. We're speaking of increased access, and that has got that potential. If you look at blended learning, it does have the potential of assisting the increase in enrollments. The accelerated innovation in terms of pedagogics. It also allows that. It's a positive spin-offs. It provides flexibility through accommodating part-time and working students. We in most cases speak of lifelong learning, and that provides that. I said I was going to be suffocated, but it's fine. The cost effectiveness of the system, if implemented to the latter, is cost effective, it's going to assist us. The increase in economic growth and activism of our youth is also going to be made possible through blended teaching and learning. If it was not for Mr. Manyaka, I was going to give you more, but sorry for that.
I'm suffocating you. Thanks, Mr. Mbuyani. I'll now go to Mr. Jack Mudiba. 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and greetings to everyone. Let me safely say protocol observed. And as the time given, I don't know whether to say it's too limited, or are we limited on time or what. But with the theme which has been given to us, coming to engage with the conference, being the sustainable campus of the future, and I came up with the issue of sustainable campus of the future, that is through the lens of the renewable energy. So we, as a college, let me talk from the background of a college where I'm coming from, being the Hertsibande TVET College, which is situated in the Hertsibande region here in Mpumalanga. And then we has got 7 campuses which are running within that area. Now, why this sustainable campus for the future? That is firstly to support the realization of Sustainable Development Goal, or our SDG number 7, which advocate for access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Then we also looking into the demand, which is there as of the report of 2021. So we have to meet the demand. We say, okay, the growing nature of demand for renewable energy by industry by 2021 was 22%, and household 12%. You will bear in mind that the energy or the electricity, let me be specific by saying the electricity was one of the disruption during the time of the load shedding, which means there is a gap there, and that gap needs to be addressed. And then we're looking into the future campuses to say, what is it that can be done? And which will also, it will need the infrastructure and facility to be part of that, because it's not going to be something flowing freely so. Then, as a college, there are some of the research which has been done scientifically indicating which campuses maybe we can use those renewable energy. Out of the 7 I've indicated, 3 of them have been identified to be the renewable energy campuses, whereby the curriculum has to be specific on that. Because as a college, what we have done, we didn't want to do everything for all, or all the campuses do the same thing, but to make sure that we have got niche areas to say which campus does specialize in what, so that we are able to serve, or we are able to deliver as per the demand of the industry, the demand of the economy, not just producing. And then the issue there is to say, in the 7 campuses which we are having, the plan is to install at all 7 the solar, to install the solar across all 7, so that we as a college assist in terms of this disruption I spoke of. We can be free from that, or we can at least try to manage and deal with that as time goes on. And What I want to stress also, as my former colleague has indicated, the issue of the infrastructure, which I think majority of us are aware of, the TVET sector, most of the campuses where they inherited the infrastructure from the previous schools, whereby is to say, if we are going to this new era, what is it that we are doing in terms of our infrastructure? So the repurposing is the way, because not all those resources which are there or the infrastructure cannot be used. So when one of those things in the planning is to say, we need to repurpose, but repurposing needs funding. And as we know as a country, funding cannot just be from the department as the DHEAD is there to fund. But we are saying or looking into the type of funding to say, how can we get funding for those campuses or for the college as a whole to have this better campuses? So the funding, we can receive the funding from the partners, which as a college we are saying, in terms of partners who have realized and who came on board to say, you as a college, the following are the demand in terms of your area where the college is situated, to say you need, for an example, to go on the line of renewable energy. We are saying this because some of the funding will be assisting in terms of the lecturer capacitation, not only the infrastructure, because the infrastructure can be there, but if the curriculum is not holistically attended to, we can have that, but we are not going to have people who will be delivering the curriculum. Then in that, as a college, we have already started. I'm glad to indicate to say, for an example, we have taken some of our lecturers and then having the partnership with the universities, and some of them have been capacitated and 3 weeks back have been graduating in terms of the renewable energy from the University of Johannesburg. So those collaborations, those are very key to us, and the funding thereof being assisted by the private sectors like your SASOL. And then that's the thing. But lastly, as I'm intimidated next to me, in order for TVET educational skills development to remain impactful on employment, entrepreneurship, and productivity, it must remain agile in the face of energy mix change by continuously engaging with stakeholders who are burdened with the realization of a sustainable campus of the future. And then in this, the future campus should have these 3 pillars, maybe sustainably. That is namely the environment, our planet, which has to be considered, the social, our people, and lastly, the economy being the profit. Thank you very much.
Thanks, colleagues. Another round of applause, colleagues, for the 3 speakers. Yeah, I think there is a common theme about around the 3 speakers, infrastructure, etc., from the colleges, and also from Prof's submission. There is a campus that is not well as developed as the other 2. Now, the first question that I want to raise, colleagues, is, I think you can sit down. I think each has a mic. What are institutions doing to plan for further expansions? I mean, your institutions. Is it a question of repurposing the existing infrastructure or buildings, or a question of building new ones? What will you prefer in that scenario? I'll start with you, Prof, in that instance.
Yeah, thank you, Program Director. As I articulated earlier, when the university started, it took over some existing buildings, which it had to repurpose. In fact, it took over the provincial legislature building of the Northern Cape, which it administered. It's now called Luka Yankee House, and it serves as our main administrative hub. We have just received the Harry Oppenheimer House, as I pointed out, and we will also repurpose that for administrative purposes. The rest of the campus, to a large extent, except for maybe 2 other buildings, are all new built. So there's an old school, my ex-high school, where I went to, was also repurposed. It's now our Faculty of Education. And then on the South Campus, there's a hall similar to this that we inherited from Spoornet, which was also repurposed. But over and above, everything else happened to be new built. The further expansion of the university will mainly be in the North Campus, which is where we have some room for expansion. And because we're in the middle of the city, we have asked to take over some vacant land to be able to connect our campuses, so that if one looks 30 years from now, we should be able to have the capacity to meet the demand, the growing demand for higher education. What the repurposing of buildings also allows us to do is to make sure that we consolidate academic departments within a particular building, so that all the faculties have a unique identity. We are currently decanting some of the administrative and professional staff into the repurposed buildings to free space for further academic use. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Prof. As a follow-up to the development in the other campus that is not as well developed, our colleagues, Hefma, Odd, most of their buildings, infrastructure, they are turning that into open spaces, bringing everyone together. What would be the plan to develop this? Will it be the old traditional way of doing buildings, etc.?
Would you like me to respond?
Yes, thanks.
It depends on the need of the individual units. Let me use the example of our Division for Institutional Advancement. When we repurpose the space for them, they prefer to have a combination of open plan offices, as well as a few areas where they could have some offices. That is the model which we will probably use for the new building, or for the building that we are going to repurpose for administrative space, so that one has more interactive spaces. However, if one repurposes some of these buildings for academic space, one has to make provision for office space. What we've learned from COVID, for instance, is that if lecturers sit in an open space, there's obviously interference. They need to be in an office if they teach online, because currently we're still using the hybrid model of teaching. So it's a mix, but it is based on the need of the respective department. I'll give you an example. We can't exactly put HR practitioners necessarily all into a open plan office, because sometimes they have to discuss confidential matters. So you need maybe open space plus consulting rooms, or you need individual offices. So I would maybe summarize by saying that if you repurpose space, you must take into account that the way of work is changing, number one. Number two, it depends on the service that you are trying to provide. And thirdly, you must make sure that when you repurpose, that you have all the technological bells and whistles to enable people to interact both in a virtual environment as well as in a face-to-face environment. Thank you.
Thanks, Prof. I think the same question I'll try to rephrase, because one of one of you said they were looking at Tiamo for more money to better their infrastructure. Suppose Tiamo opens up and gives you money. What type of infrastructure would you need? Because I think before COVID, we knew what we wanted. But after COVID, there are many ideas about infrastructure, as Prof indicated. What will be your preference in that case as colleges? Buyan, first, and then Buyan first, and then
Okay, let me start. As I said when I was doing my submission, if you look at TVET colleges before COVID-19, the technology infrastructure was almost non-existent. We were only teaching computers. But going beyond that to offer online teaching and learning, we were not there, we were far from there. So the infrastructure had to be improved after that, which meant even the issues of connectivity has to be increased such that the bandwidth and everything else that is related to that is improved at campuses. Before then, we had campuses where the Wi-Fi was almost at a zero. But after that, that experience taught us that we needed to be ready for anything, and the Wi-Fi access got improved there. I think, let me leave it at this point, my colleague will add.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, what I can add is to indicate, to say the infrastructure in terms of the era after the COVID-19, which is needed, that is the ICT part of it, whereby it goes hand in hand with the user thereof, to say, yes, the infrastructure can be there, but what is it that the colleges has done, or what is it that the colleges are doing? Because, yes, it was difficult. It was not actually applicable to colleges to give the learning online. And the COVID-19 has indicated to say there will be time where this type of disruption can be there. And what is it that the colleges has to do? And then from there, it said, okay, let's have this infrastructure, your Wi-Fi connectivity and the like, but also the lecturers themselves who are supposed to be using that in order for them to deliver the contents. So they also need to be capacitated to say, yes, they are there, then their students can be. But it didn't say in terms of that, then they must be far away. They must be within the campuses, whereby also the campus will also have to be maintained in terms of the buildings, has to be improved for the conducive teaching and learning. Thank you.
Thanks, colleagues. The second question is about resources for non-academic support staff. What are the institutions doing to ensure that your non-academic service staff are sufficiently well-resourced? For instance, in the time for budgeting, we know that when the university wants to get money back, they'll get from maintenance. So, you know, the cut is in as far as maintenance is concerned. What's your view on that?
I think at the outset, one must start by saying that what is the role of support and professional staff in an institution? And I'm of the view that the role of support and professional staff is in support of the academic project, because the academic project is what the university is about, and everything else that we do must be in support of that. And the academic project entails both teaching and learning and research. That is the core business of the university. So everything else that we do is in support of that. For non-academic staff, I think they must have a place where they can work from. And the nature of their work will dictate the space which is allocated to them. At Salt Lake University, we do not have academics that sit in share office, support staff that sit in shared offices. Most of them sit in individual offices, so I think they are privileged from that point of view, because I have been in institutions where this is shared. When we have part-time and internships, they normally share office space. All the offices, in my view, the physical infrastructure is well resourced from the point of view of infrastructure, bandwidth, internet. Each support staff member will be issued with a device. So just from that point of view, I think they're well resourced. We have to obviously make sure that from an infrastructure point of view, especially IT infrastructure, that is always working, because the network is key to the university. So even from the point of view of IT, I believe we are resourcing well. We are in the process now of establishing a new data center. Our current ICT is mainly run from service, a local service, as well as our software are hosted on cloud. So from that point of view, again, I believe that the non-academic support services are well resourced. Key, in my view, in terms of support for academic staff is investing in training and personal development of the non-academic staff, to ensure that the services that we do provide to our stakeholders are of the highest quality. And I can attest to the fact that Sol Plaatje University heavily invests in ongoing training and support to staff members, not only in terms of providing opportunities for continuous professional development, but importantly, making sure that we reskill our staff from whether it's in the services sector, cleaning, security, to our financial, HR, and so forth. Investment in staff development, I believe, also help to enhance the overall quality of non-academic support, and also ensure that our students receive the best care and support service. Now, I'm not painting a perfect picture, because there's always niggles in all of these things, but from the statistics which I have, I would say more than 10% of our staff are currently doing active study towards further degrees. I don't know if our COO is here. He will be graduating with his PhD at the end of this year. And every HR committee that I attend, I'm told that a couple of people have either obtained their master's degrees and so forth. So there's heavy investment in studying by our non-academic staff. For cleaning, service personnel, etc., we have an ABET program to enhance the educational qualifications of staff. Investment in continuous professional development is key, because as the world changes, and if we want to be a sustainable campus, reskilling is the order of the day. Obviously, not many people want to reskill, but if you don't invest in yourself and you want to make changes, you can't expect that the world will change and you will change if you're not prepared to do something about your own personal development. When I started as Vice Chancellor at the institution, I said to the staff, don't come and talk to me about promotion opportunities and you've been here forever, and that means that you must automatically be promoted. You must show me what you have invested in yourself and what quality service you can actually bring to the institution to enhance the service. Then we can start talking about development from point of view. And I'm a firm believer in that ever since I started at universities. Thank you.
Some ideas from colleagues on that?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I won't suffocate you now.
Okay. No, with the colleges, uh, there has been a great improvement after COVID-19. I must proudly say at all our campuses, we have established the waste removal infrastructure, which was not there before. It might look a tiny contribution, but it's a big one in terms of the health and safety of the staff. In repeating what the Prof has said, we have increased on our health and safety training programs for our support staff. In the past, some of our campuses, the support staff, particularly the groundsmen and the cleaners there, they wouldn't have change rooms. It might sound bad, but that was the truth. And we had to improve on that. At all our campuses, that is now available and it's in a dignified way. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, let me start by indicating that during the budgeting, the support staff are also taken into consideration. You will realize that for teaching and learning to take place, the support staff is playing a very crucial role. Let's start in terms of budgeting, whereby you will need, in TVET, as you know, TVETs will need your practical workshops. And when looking for practical workshops, so it says to you, when budgeting, looking into the upcoming years, you have to look into, say, is it real that the programs, either the occupational programs we are going to deliver, do we have a space where they're going to be trained? Because it's not going to be, that is an online teaching and learning. We need a space and a conducive teaching and learning environment. Then it is taken into consideration and given a priority so that teaching and learning can continue. Nextly, as it has been alluded by my colleagues here, the issue of the training in terms of the support staff. He has indicated the health one, the issue of at our college, the issue of the ethics, the risk and fraud trainings which are taking place to all, not only the academics, so those type of training. And also as a college, the issue of the self-development is taken into consideration because the bursaries are given to all staff members, not only the academic staff. Whoever wants to improve his qualifications or further the studies. So we are in a position, and that thing is taken into consideration, is budgeted for. Our staff members are given that latitude. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have two last questions so that we can have 7 minutes for questions from the floor. I think the first one is directed to Prof, and I'll have a question for TVET colleges. Prof, there is a problem in some universities where, for instance, academics are always demanding to work from home after COVID, as if students are at home, and we need them to be here. What is the situation? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I don't know if I heard the question right. You're saying what is the situation in terms of staff presence on campus? Is that?
Academics wanting to work from home.
Yeah, okay. I think one of the things that we've learned at COVID, and there was a period post-COVID, obviously, where there wasn't an equilibration back to a new norm. During the period of COVID, people became very comfortable working from home. It was flexible. Kimberley being a small town, they could slip away and do their shopping, go and fetch their kids at school. So they got used to it. When COVID finished and things became normal, many institutions had difficulty getting their staff members to come back to work in a normalized way, the way it was before the COVID pandemic. Now, we have always been flexible at Solplaik University in terms of the academic, where staff members had to hold certain office hours, but there was a lot of flexibility around that. After the pandemic, some staff members wanted to continue, obviously, working from home, but we took a decision at Senate, and that was endorsed by our executive management, that post-COVID, we requested all academic staff as well as professional and support staff to come back to the office. There were protestations, obviously. I was even taken to court I was even sued by one or two academics that wanted to have the status quo remain, but we held our position. And as it stands, everything at Salt Lake University is normal in terms of the new norm, where staff hold office hours. Although we teach formally in a blended mode, if they teach online, they can teach it from the offices. Unless there is a disruption, obviously, then we immediately transition into an online mode of teaching and learning. Now, that mitigates, obviously, against unnecessary protest, which I think was good from the COVID point of view. We leverage on technology to make sure that we pivot our academic teaching program from contact to online, and it can take place almost instantaneously. So we have that capacity now. So staff must hold office hours because we request staff to be at the office. Remember, outside of the formal teaching and learning, students also have to consult with academic staff. And we can't exactly expect the students to go to the staff member's house if they want to see them. That's not on as far as I'm concerned. There must be proper space for consulting, but there's enough flexibility. We've just recently approved as management what I call a work from home. It's not a policy, currently it's a framework, where we do allow academic staff to work from home 1 day a week, as long as it's not a Monday or a Friday. So otherwise, there's going to be continuous long weekends taken. Kimberley being a small town, it's fairly relaxed. Typically, you can go home and have your lunch and come back, or during that time go and pick up your kids and drop them off at home. So there's enough flexibility in a small town environment for you to do the things that you can do. So office hours are required. The line managers must manage that. Obviously, there are areas where that kind of flexibility is not allowed. Let me use the example of security. A security personnel must be on the ground to be able to do their work. Same with cleaning. You cannot do cleaning remotely, although we have robots that can do it these days, but obviously that can also lead to loss of life. So in our case, we don't have any problems with people that want to work from home, because we have been very clear right from the start. Return back to the office. Even if you teach online, you can teach it from the office. We have enough bandwidth, there's enough facilities for you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. You got an answer, Dr. Put? Okay, sure. That's good. Colleagues, I want to ask a question to TVET colleges. The reason why I'm directing this question to TVET is that DHET, Department of Higher Education, really did well by also being part of the process to include TVET within the Hefma fold. Now I want to check whether that process is a good one from college side, and also what do you think as colleges this relationship will create for you? I know we have been talking about infrastructure that is not as good as you want to be, training, etc., etc. But you being part of Hefma, what will be the advantage of that with the colleges? Then we can open for 10 minutes questions and discussions. Mr. Mbuyane first, and then
The issue of infrastructure at the TVET colleges, I must say it still needs a lot of work. Just to make an example, we have got campuses who were built, whose infrastructure was built by the homelands. And the maintenance there has not been to the level where it should be. And those infrastructure are dilapidated. We see it as an opportunity that this integration of TVET, we know for a fact that the department has already started assisting colleges on infrastructure through the CIEG, the College Infrastructure Efficiency Grant. It does, in a way, assist, but it is just not sufficient. So we are looking at this integration to the Hefma agenda as an opportunity for us to can also improve the infrastructure at colleges.
No, thank you very much. I think the collaboration, or maybe the engagement with the Hefma is going to assist TVET colleges. Number one being the issue of learning the best practices, to say, as universities, there are some of the infrastructures you see, they are there, they have been done, but you may find that sometimes we give or we put the barriers in front of us, while there are people or while there are institutions which can come up with the procedures on how to approach, how can you do it, and then that will assist us, because they've been in the space for quite a number of years, and then the experience from them will just simply assist us as colleges to say, this is the way you can go. Don't be looking into one side. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Colleagues, we have got 10 minutes. Questions and comments. Let's try to be as brief as possible, please. There's a hand here. Any hand? Yeah, I recognize you. Yeah, the third one. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this hand.
Okay. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, that's good enough. Thank you very much, but maybe first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Kennedy John from the University of Botswana. And I know you said I should be short, but I'm tempted to be a little bit longer than short because I need to clearly articulate my question. And my question is around energy and water that the first speaker mentioned. In terms of energy, you mentioned your endeavors to implement solar systems. And my question would be, do you encounter any regulatory barriers in terms of doing that? And allow me to just explain why I posed this question.
No, I think the question is well understood.
Thank you.
Not second question. You at the back. We have a limited time. Sorry about that. There's a guy there, Nadim. Please raise your hand so that you can see. Yeah, you see. Yeah, we'll be the fourth one. Yeah, you can come. Okay, I'll come to you.
Thanks. By way of introduction, my name is Lebogang, and I'll be quick because I'm not an academic. The question that I have in assisting institutions to stretch the rent that Siamo gives, what is the appetite of institutions to use other funding instruments beyond the SIG or the IEG, i.e. using debt and using other grants? Thanks.
Yeah, there's a guy at the back, the third desk. Then I come to you. Yeah.
No, thank you, Ingatlas West Coast College. I just want to check from the conference in terms of Solplaat, they're repurposing some old buildings. So I just want to check in terms of the contractors that they are finding to repurpose those old buildings and the role that Hefma can play in terms of professionalizing the built environment. Because when you've got so much work that needs to be done, there's a lot of fly-by-nighters that open construction companies. You find a failed medical doctor open a company. All this, anyone can just open a company, and that brings a lot of problems when it comes to the quality of buildings that we receive from these contractors. So I just want to check what Hefma can do to assist us in professionalizing the built environment and the quality of companies that we get to improve our buildings. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Zukiswa Mkyokolo from Northwest University. I just want to find out, for those employees that they work or that they're allowed to work from home, are there any measures in place when it relates to occupational health and safety for them, should a person get injured at work? Because now that person is at work, but the workplace, are there any measures that are taken care of in terms of health and safety? Thank you.
Thank you. The first question, Prof, is energy and water.
Is it the energy and water question you?
Are there any regulatory processes that are also in play?
Okay. No, thank you for the question. Because we are new built university, all of the energy needs and the water needs have been planned as part of the new build. So whatever regulatory barriers there are, it's actually and processes and procedures that we have to follow. It's actually cleared as part of the planning, etc. So I cannot say offhand at this stage that we have experienced any regulatory barriers, certainly not in the Northern Cape environment. Obviously, we small fry compared to the bigger business that have to feed some of this into the grid. So it's really a matter of meeting our own sustainability targets as universities. So if you want to, for instance, make a building like this self-sustaining, what is the sort of energy requirements for a building like this, and you build it as part of the infrastructure. And that has been our approach. Thank you.
Do you have appetite for the second one? The use of other funding instruments?
Yes, I think given the nature of the fiscus, it's important to explore under other funding instruments, especially when it comes to infrastructure. We've been fortunate that since the inception of the university, our private sector, especially the mines, have come to support the university. De Beers and Anglo, for instance, made a significant contribution towards the building of the library at Solplaat University. As there's more constraints now with infrastructure funding across the university sector, as I guess it's across the higher education sector. We are looking more and more at public-private partnerships, as well as we've been approached also by vendors who want to build for further transfer to the university. In other words, as a legacy project. So we supply, they want to build, they want the university to operate with the purpose of later on, say 25, 30 years from now, transfer the property to the university. We're still looking at the finer detail of such agreements. We know that from a PPP point of view, there is some regulation that's currently being discussed in the higher education space. But as a university ourselves, we have not entered into any public-private partnership. However, there's a lot of building going on in Kimberley due to the presence of the university. A lot of private providers are building residences there, but they will operate those residences as private residences. We have tried to stay out of those space because the university do not have the resources, obviously, from a building point of view, to invest there. Once one goes into private PPP kind of arrangements, one must be sure that it's beneficial, obviously, to both the institution as well as to the private provider. Thank you.
Okay, I think Sam was smiling on that. Usha, you answered. Okay. The third one is about professionalizing the built environment. I think it's something that Hefma has to look into. It's not necessarily for the panel people. I think the ESCO will have to look into that and maybe give us feedback next time we meet. Is that okay? Yeah. The last one, what measures do we have in place for colleagues who are working from home?
I don't know if I could hear the question properly, but are you referring to what is the liability for the university if people work from home? Is that the gist of the question? Yeah.
If a person gets injured now whilst working from home, remember that person is at work, but now the environment or the workplace is at home.
Okay. On me?
I can't see him either.
Maybe dies or
yeah. I think in our framework we've been very clear. According to the new framework, if people want to work from home, they have to make sure that they can provide proof, number one, that they have the infrastructure to be able to do their work properly from home. In other words, the necessary bandwidth, the device, etc. Obviously, if something happens to them from a health point of view, we will deal with it in the same way as, for instance, if they get injured at work. So we have insurance that cover that. One has to assume that if you have been given permission to work from home, that you still fall under the same regulatory laws and requirements as if you were working at the office, from a risk and insurance point of view. But if you have not been granted permission, you're basically on your own as far as the university is concerned. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Dr. Mpotu will attest. The senior to that person must approve working from home for that day. Non-approval will not be a responsibility of the institution because someone will staying away from work, something like that. I think there are approval processes that have been put in place for working at home. You can't just work at home for J. Yeah. Okay, colleagues, I think is it like
Yes,
lunchtime?
yes.
So if there are more questions, colleagues, you'll direct them to the panel. And then, but if, you don't have to ask me questions.
Is it a question?
Because
Mr. Maleme?
I won't answer them.
It's a response. Okay.
You mean the,
Assist. Good afternoon, Program Director. There's a
no,
question.
I directed it to the ESCO, Hefma ESCO, to deliberate on it because the guy was saying, the colleague was saying, how does Hefma assist? And I don't want the panel to answer that question.
No, we are not asking the panel
Okay.
to answer the question. What we are saying, Program Director, is that that issue, the gentleman directly behind him has been dealing with that issue where you have
Okay.
contractors who are not, sorry, contractors who are not, let's say, a grade 7 contractor who is battling to finish a grade 5 project in terms of the CIDB grading. So the gentleman directly behind him, we've had engagements with him, and they have now they are looking into a process where they can do thorough due diligence on their side. It costs more to do thorough due diligence because one of the measures that they are doing is to look into previous projects, to directly visit those projects and to talk to the end users and to talk to the consultants. It costs more at that due diligence stage, but that money is insignificant when compared to the cost of having to terminate the contractor and start from scratch. So with what we call that collaboration through the universities and with universities and TVET colleges, that should be able to enable the sector to come up with some solution that can help addressing that. And secondly, Program Director, we just want to correct how the process of DHET works in terms of allocating funding. It is not Siamo who allocates funding. It is not the directorate. It is the minister who allocates funding. So that needs to be corrected, Chairperson. Program Director, thank you very much.
I don't remember anyone saying that. Okay, that's fine, thanks. Colleagues, I've been neglecting for 1 hour. That role is done. But if you have questions, direct them to the panel and ESCO executive. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks a lot, colleagues. One round of applause to the panel members. Thank you.
Thank
Maureen.
you. Thank you, Dr. Joe. Thank you, panel members. Colleagues, we are now about to break for lunch. Lunch will be served at the cafeteria. It's a 5-minute walk for those who would like to walk, but for those who would like to use a bus, there's a bus outside. You can get into the bus and go to the cafeteria and come back. And for our panel members, Nadim, please assist me with our panel members. And you are requested, colleagues, that you come back here, I think at 2:15, so that we can proceed with this afternoon's program. So thank you. Thank you, colleagues.
Thanks, Prof. You leaving now? No, I'll come back. So we all going to the
Thank you, colleagues. Over to you, Program Director.
Thank you, colleagues. Yes, please. Thank you. Okay. Okay, colleagues, welcome back. Please note a few changes in the program this afternoon. It's going to be a very short program. Firstly, it will be the keynote speech by DHET, followed by aligning FM demographics and technological trends. Only those two items this afternoon. So colleagues, I'm about to call our distinguished guest, our notes speech by DHET. I'm about to call the DDG TVET in Department of Higher Education Training, Mr. Samuel Zungu. Thank you.
Program Director, thank you very much. President, I concur with you about this podium. It's not designed for some of us. But one thing positive about it is that our former Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Prof. Dr. Blade Zimande, would have appreciated this one, because he always complained that some of these podiums are not meant for his height, and I think this one is actually designed for that. Thank you very much, Program Director. Let me extend my greetings to the host Vice Chancellor, in absentia, Prof. Togo Mayegiso, who is represented here today by the Dean of Students, Dr. Paul Maminza, the President of Hefma, Mr. Lindoguhle Nzolo, and your esteemed ESCO members that are here, the Hefma past presidents, and the esteemed members that are here, the university vice chancellors that are here, and thank you to Prof. Crouch of the Salt Lake University. We had a very exciting and insightful engagement earlier on this morning, where we were discussing the quality of education. I'll come to Salt Lake, Prof, so that we can continue with our engagements. The other vice chancellors that are here, deputy vice chancellors, and all the senior executives from the various universities that are here, the TVET college principals that are here. I saw Mr. Mdiba, Mr. Mbuyane, and Mr. Mamabulu. I have not seen others, but those that are here, together with your senior officials from your respective institutions, the Chief Director for Infrastructure in the Department of Education and Training, Mr. Mlambo. Where is he? That's a man. You know, you spoke about Tiamo. They work with that man. Mr. Mlambo, you can just rise so that they can see. He is responsible for infrastructure in the department, working with the Tiamo and the team. All the panelists that were here and those that are still coming, esteemed delegates and colleagues, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'll try to be as short as my height. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today at the Higher Education Facility Management Association Annual Conference. This gathering, dedicated to exploring the concept of the sustainable campus of the future, provides a timely opportunity to address a crucial issue in our higher education sector: the provisioning and enhancement of infrastructure and facilities across universities, TVET colleges, as well as community education and training colleges in our country and beyond. We appreciate and applaud Hefma for bringing on board the other institutional types, the TVET colleges as well, in future, the CET colleges, to be part of this family of Hefma. Can we give them a round of applause for that move? During this conference, we will delve into a multifaceted topic that impacts every facet of educational attainment and student experience. I believe that this conference will assist in exploring the key challenges we face, propose viable solutions, and highlight the best practices from around the globe that can guide us in creating a robust and sustainable educational infrastructure. What is the role of infrastructure in education? Infrastructure is more than a mere buildings and physical space. It embodies the backbone of our educational system. Quality infrastructure enables effective teaching methodologies, fosters innovative research, supporting training in trades and vocations in TVET colleges and CET, also provides a safe haven for student development and enhances overall campus life. Some South African universities and colleges have already shown leadership by integrating cutting-edge technology with eco-conscious architectural designs. Recent projects have focused on creating spaces that are environmentally sustainable, inclusive in nature, and conducive to modern learning techniques. This aligns with the global trend towards green and resilient infrastructure that minimizes environmental footprints while maximizing resource efficiency. Globally, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, popularly known as MIT, is at the forefront of integrating technology with education to improve student outcomes. Their innovative approach includes smart classrooms equipped with advanced ICT infrastructure that supports interactive and personalized learning experiences. The lessons for South Africa in similar contexts is clear. Investment in forward-thinking infrastructure is critical to nurturing future-ready graduates. Our institutions stand at a critical juncture where enhancing infrastructure aligns seamlessly with the Sustainable Development Goals to create educational environments prepared for the future. And I think the President has already alluded to this fact. We need to ensure that our institutions align to SDG 4 that talks to quality education. This will ensure that every student encounters an inclusive and innovative learning space. On the other hand, SDG 9, fostering industry, innovation, and infrastructure is very, very crucial. Our campuses, when linked with industry, can become crucibles of innovation, facilitating technological progress through sustainable and advanced infrastructure. Furthermore, our institutions need to align with SDG 11, thus contributing towards the establishment of sustainable cities and communities. I was talking to a colleague earlier on about the positioning of some of these institutions that we call they are rural institutions. How do we turn them into a springboard for rural economic development? Because when you establish a campus in a rural setting, certain skills will be developed and a lot of other economic activities will then happen centered around that particular campus. Lastly, SDG 13 calls upon us to lead in climate action. Let our institutions reduce carbon footprints through renewable energy and resilient, eco-friendly infrastructure, thereby setting a benchmark for others to emulate. Last night, VC, We had a very interesting meeting with the minister talking about these same issues of renewable energy and how do we align our institutions to ensure that we offer such programs and build a skills base so that when these things happen, we don't wander around. If somebody comes and installs solar panels in our community, who will then maintain those solar panels once those people have left? We need to build that skills base. So we had an interesting meeting last night from 6 till about 9 VC to talk about that development within the space of energy. However, the road to achieving these infrastructural advancements is fraught with challenges. The major obstacles include, but are not limited to, the resource constraints. Financial resources in particular have made it difficult to embark on new projects or even maintain existing facilities. We know about one very interesting and exciting project which is run by one of our entities that is called the National Student Financial Aid Scheme that faces enormous pressure to support infrastructure projects alongside student funding needs in addressing the student housing challenges. However, ladies and gentlemen, I must raise this one concern on behalf of the Department of Higher Education and Training, as well as the state. The issue of underspending on infrastructure remains a significant challenge within our educational sector. It is vital to understand that underspending is not merely a budgetary issue, but one that often reflects deeper systemic issues, including capacity constraints and inadequate planning. I listened to my principals earlier on, that they were crying for more resources, but it's so painful when we write those motivations, Mr. Mlambo, to the DG, and the DG is sending them to the minister to go to the budget vote speech that is fighting for us to get more resources. At the end of the financial year, we send back those same resources back to the state, to National Treasury, because they have not been spent. And this will not just be talking to TVETs, even universities. Some of them sit with huge amounts that have not been spent, and they accumulate reserves at the end of the day. But we have now applied the clawback. We want those monies back so that we can deploy them where they are needed. The Auditor General's reports have highlighted discrepancies in spending across institutions, with some universities and colleges unable to fully utilize their designated funds for infrastructure projects. This underutilization can impede institutional growth and quality of education offered, adversely impacting students' outcomes. The findings from these reports point to varying capacities amongst institutions to manage effectively infrastructure deficiencies may further contribute to these audit findings, with inadequate facilities leading to operational inefficiencies and reduced educational efficacy. Colleagues, if I may just share with you what has happened, that over the past 3 years in the university sector, we had a reduction of 6.2 billion from 11.4 billion for universities. Within the TVET sector, a reduction 2.1 billion from 3.3 billion. Part of it is a result of the underspend. Because how do you motivate to Treasury that you need money when we are not spending that money? So in as much as we cry, but all of it also emanate from poor planning. We spoke about preparedness. When that money lands into the account of the institution, how prepared are we? In some instances, institutions would have chosen sites where there's not even, bulk services. By the time Treasury says this money has been sitting there for 12 months, we take it back, we are still negotiating for bulk services. Others cannot prove the ownership of these facilities. I will count a lot of TVET colleges that are operating in some leased facilities that they cannot provide a proof of ownership, and you cannot make any advancements or developments on the property that you don't own. And therefore, the money gets delayed and sent back again because of those issues. Colleagues, we need to find strategies in order to improve in our planning and also be able to deal with some of these issues in a much more sustainable way. Part of the challenges, as we all know, the aging infrastructure. If you talk about accommodation, we know what is happening in our institutions. You used to live in a residence that will accommodate 5 students, maybe in one area. Now, across the road, because the market is open, Mr. Mlambo is going to build his own facility that has got Wi-Fi and all of those other amenities that are needed by students. Then the students just move across the road. Now you're sitting with a university infrastructure that is too old, but is also not conducive for the 21st century students. Issues of technological gaps that we also need to address. But more importantly, colleagues, the issues around safety and security in our institutions. If we have to go and look at the statistics for gender-based violence nationally, where is the majority of those cases that are reported? It's not in our communities, but it's in our institutional communities. So it means we need to ensure that our facilities are well saved and secured. Lastly, as I move towards closure, colleagues, I think it will be important for us as we work through this journey towards a sustainable and effective educational infrastructure. It is going to need a much closer collaboration across the sectors. I'm glad that Hefma has brought together all the PSET institutions, TVETs, as well as universities, so that we can be able to benchmark amongst each other. But what is stopping a university to share its resource with a TVET college that is in the neighboring or vicinity, so that we can be able to build that facility? By prioritizing innovative strategies, funding, and strategic partnerships, we can create an inclusive, resilient, and a future-ready educational system. Let us seize this opportunity to transform our educational landscapes into beacons of learning, sustainability, and innovation. Together, we can create not only sustainable campuses, but thriving communities. I wish you a very successful conference as you remain here in the next few days. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm glad that you invited a DDG from the TVETs for a change and not a DDG from a university. Thank you so much.
Thank you, DDG. No, I wanted to just sit there, I think. Okay. Colleagues, we're moving on with our program for this afternoon. I'm about to call to the podium a seasoned professional in the field of facilities management, bringing over 25 years of international experience to her role. She is a director of GPFI Botswana, a Pan-African company offering end-to-end facility services, and oversees FMCE companies registered in Botswana, Kenya, and the United Kingdom. In recognition of her contribution to the industry, she was awarded for her outstanding performance in the organizing the Euro FM Conference and Research and Symposium 2014, held in London, June 2024. She is the founder and vice chair of the Africa Facilities Management Association, an NGO established following the success of FMCE Africa 2020 Visual Conference. Since 2019, she has successfully hosted facilities management conferences that united specialists from Africa, Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and the United States. Her efforts have fostered collaboration among national and international associations to promote the growth of facilities management across African continent. She has also fostered a collaboration between Hefma and Africa FM. Her name is Me Maria Morapet. Thank you.
I feel like after all that's been said, that should be the end of it now. I'm just checking if we will be broadcasting the presentation or just... Or just go ahead. No, I can go ahead, but I wanted to make the presentation. Let's do that. Okay. While we're waiting for the presentation to be brought up, I want to just say a big thank you to Hefma Executive, all dignitaries here, for inviting me to speak on this important topic, which really touches the evolving educational landscape. I don't think I'll be going through all of my credentials because my dear colleague has already gone through them. But I'm going to be talking about aligning facilities management with the demographic and technological trends to shape the student's experience. This presentation will delve into the transformation in the higher education driven by significant demographic shifts and rapid technological advancements. We will explore the pivotal role that FM professionals play in shaping sustainable student-centered campuses. A lot has already been said actually this morning from the discussions that were had here by the panelists. So I'll try not to repeat a lot of what has been said, especially when it comes to innovations around sustainability initiatives. The key objectives of my presentation is to show how we as FM professionals can leverage the data that we have on the trends of demographics and the technology advancements to build sustainable and technical built environments. By doing so, we will not only meet the expectations of today's students, but also create adaptable, future-proof spaces. As the education continues to evolve, institutions must prioritize sustainable campus development to address changing needs of students while ensuring operational excellence and closing the existing talent gap. That's one thing that I don't think we particularly made huge reference to in to this presentation so far. By doing so, we will address the market gaps and Now we will delve into the presentation. But before that, I want to also just give my personal context to this. My colleague, again, has talked about my experience, but I want to talk about my personal background, which has generated my interest in the facility management profession and grounds me to talk about FM. I have 3 young adults who've gone through universities, and it's by mere fact of going through student campus after student campus in the UK where they grew up, and being very clear about the expectations in the campus that they want to attend, that it was clear that the voice of the students must be heard. Often, our planning departments really do plan for students without students' involvement. Maybe that's a changing landscape, but this is something that I want to bring here to the academics, those that are responsible for the physical infrastructure, to really consider your key stakeholders. And of course, these are your primary users, being academic staff, administrative staff, but really your core clients are students. And you can only attract them having made sure that you have a facility that really touches the soul of the expectation. Now, let's look at the statistics. Currently in the southern region, we have about 366 million population, and this is expected to rise to over 500 million by 2050. And this presents both challenges and opportunities, some of which have already been illustrated by some of the academics who were talking about the challenges of infrastructure from the TVETs. Planning and resource allocations as a result, are very essential to accommodate this population growth. We also have the statistics that show that there's an increase in urbanization of about 56%, which is expected of people who will be expected to live in urban areas by 2043. Are we ready for this urbanization? Have we planned for the urbanization? And furthermore, over 60% of our young people are under the age of 25. And they have a voice. And they tend to make their voice very clear through social media. That's where when they really want to express their feelings about an infrastructure or a campus building, the accommodation, they go to social media. Are we cognizant of that? And in our planning, do we plan around that? Another important issue is around the key driver, which is for economic growth. Something happened to the presentation. I'm missing some slide. I'm on slide 3, if anybody can help. Where I was talking about the population. Right. So I was just, that's great, thank you. So I was just explaining around about 60% population under the age of 25. And our other key indicator is which is very critical for economic growth, is the ICT infrastructure. Of course, some universities here and countries like South Africa and Mauritius are leading in infrastructure development. But of course, other countries need to catch up on this to enable connectivity and everything that supports innovation to really align. Combining the growth in work-age population and increasing digital literacy creates significant opportunities for economic development, and therefore we need to leverage on these trends. We'll consider some real-life examples. I'm glad there's colleagues from the University of Stellenbosch here. I've learned that the university has incorporated green communal spaces to support student well-being and promote economic living, and focusing on solar-powered and water recycling initiatives to enhance sustainability. Another university from Botswana have really designed its buildings to encourage natural ventilation and reduce its carbon footprint, and improving, of course, improving indoor air quality. Just further afield at EduCity, they've gone further to design a mixed-use sustainable campus, combining academic, residential, and commercial spaces with a strong emphasis on environmental sustainability. So just to recap, we really must look at creating spaces that engage students and are flexible to enhance student living and learning experience, as well as looking at the well-being and welfare of students without compromising on the environmental factors, and also being economically viable. I mentioned earlier that we are looking at a very growing young population, and technology is not an option, it is crucial. A lot of young people are growing up with smartphones, and I have a grandson who is 7 years old, and he wants to drive a Lamborghini at the age of 7, and he knows where he wants to work. So with that in mind, with kids at a very young age at the forefront of what's happening, can we have the luxury of planning without their involvement? High-speed connection is a challenge. It was good to hear that some universities here are well advanced, but we all know that there are some universities that are very much challenged. And I think there would be a need for a concerted effort, a framework of some sort that can help support all those institutions that are still oncoming. For those that are already smart technologies have been integrated in their development, having IoT-enabled devices makes life so much easier for both students as well as the FM professionals, because lighting can be controlled from a central point, and that also must become a norm for student accommodation. These tools not only enhance convenience, but also support energy efficiency, contribute to sustainable campus development. Conveniences such as having your Uber Eats, deliveries, being able to do a lot of work from an app is increasingly become a norm. And are we all, as institutions represented here, aligned? Are we aspiring to reach such? Are we collaborating with other institutions who are already ahead to ensure that we are also providing that level of a campus experience for students. Furthermore, there is an increasing interest in students to get involved in sustainability, such as energy efficient, looking at our uses of energy, waste reduction programs, renewable energy programs, campuses that adopt green technologies, particularly in places like Namibia and of course here in South Africa, gain a competitive edge in attracting environmentally conscious students. And earlier on, we were talking about, the hybrid learning models in institutions, which are becoming more of a norm. A lot of institutions in South Africa, as well as internationally, they've really embraced hybrid learning models in their planning for both online and in-person classroom. This shift can have a negative impact on students that are based in rural settings. There is a real need, again, for some collaboration with all the institutions that are advanced and those that are coming from behind to really ensure that students, despite where they come from, they experience the same level of access, same level of education as their counterparts in highly tech-enabled institutions. I also learned that University of Free State redesigned its housing with flexible study pods to enhance its Wi-Fi to support hybrid learning, ensuring students that have tools and spaces for both collaborative studying and in-person studying. And living spaces as well have evolved. We traditionally are used to, well, we're used to, at least in my age, and I think it's still very, very much relevant even in this age, in that we're now transforming from the traditional dormitories to apartment-style living with shared kitchen, communal lounges, multi-purpose spaces, where students really want a balance between private study areas and social spaces to foster community. Which incorporate ample lighting, ventilation, green spaces, also to cater for their welfare. Again, one reason why one should consider the welfare is that because of our, especially post-COVID, the issue around mental health is a real concern. And it's one that we cannot not plan around. So the kind of buildings that we build can also support mental health and well-being. We must design spaces that are flexible, that cater for the blend of academic and social needs. By embracing these changes, we can build environments that resonate with student expectations and enhance their overall expectations and experience, because one viral post, especially a negative one, can have a huge impact on an institution. Just a couple of weeks ago in Boost, one of our universities in Botswana, they went out to the streets because they were not happy about their facilities. And it's the kind of publicity that we all want to avoid. And when we plan before such come, we are better positioned to ensure that our students are happy. But what's the role of facility management in all of this? So I haven't moved with my slides. I'll keep going. What's the role of facility management in this? We are, and we should be, at the forefront of driving sustainability in campus development. We are not just caretakers. We are strategic partners who shape how the spaces that we build function and evolve and support the broader educational commission. Our role goes beyond the day-to-day maintenance. As sustainability advocates, we have a unique opportunity to embed sustainable practices into the very fabric of campus life, ensuring that these spaces reflect the values and expectations of the students. But to do this effectively, we must possess a unique set of competencies and expertise. As strategic partners, we must engage at planning stage and campus developments, meaning that we must be involved from the earliest stages of design and construction to ensure that sustainability is integrated into the construction, to ensure that all aspects of the project, including material selection, energy systems, and waste management, are incorporated. I said before, we need to be student-centered. Our focus on students will ensure that we create environments that not only meet the educational needs, but also resonate with students' values and lifestyles. This means, again, designing spaces that are flexible, adaptable, and conducive for both learning and social interaction. Understanding of sustainability, building standards, the Green Star leads are a necessity. FM must be able to assess building performance and identify areas for improvements to reduce its carbon footprint. And of course, we need to be technologically savvy. Understanding our BMI systems, integration of IoTs and data analytics to be able to interpret real-life data helps us plan better. And of course, helps us even include the demographics that we have already referred to in our planning. We need to lead by example. Why? Because we are managing experiences. Whether it's reducing energy usage, implementing water conservation techniques, or engaging students in sustainability initiatives, it is us who should lead by examples. We need also to involve students in these initiatives so that they also can be partners and take responsibility and accountability in our environmental initiatives. I had an exercise that I wanted to introduce here, having given out the demographics and the technological challenges that we are facing in the southern region. And I wanted us to, it's a big crowd, but I wanted us to sort of have a little play and design a campus that is sustainable from a student's perspective. We have to put ourselves in the shoes of a student by incorporating those, the population demographics that I've shared. I don't know whether that's something that you're up to, yeah? Okay, can we divide ourselves into 4 groups? And I would like a representative from each group to just share what has been shared in each group. Is it practical for 4? Maybe less? What's practical? FMs, let's think. We have only 8 minutes, so we'll have the 2 minutes to discuss our findings. Please quickly organize yourselves. My timer is on.
Also be at liberty to take questions.
Yes. Okay. So I understand there needs some clarity. We looked at the demographic numbers for our region, which is, we're looking at over 500 million in population by 2050. Currently, we are standing at 366 million. We're also looking at a young population, 60% under the age of 25. And we are looking at the growth of this facility management industry globally at 1.2 trillion US dollars. Are we ready? So our plan here is to plan student housing based on the demographics that I've just outlined, the challenges that we have in connectivity. How do we make sure that we are ready for the growing population? In a nutshell. Sorry? Can we project to the page? Oh. So over 500 million by 2050. No, general population in the SADC region. Yeah, 60% under the age of 25. Yes. Slide. Is it? Oh, yes, there. We have less than 5 minutes. Okay, the question. Design a concept. Yeah, design a concept for student housing. Student housing. Okay, design a concept for student housing. Yeah? So while you conclude under 2 minutes, please nominate a representative.
And this group is Nicole.
Okay.
And this other group is the gentleman with the suit.
Okay.
And then Dr. Joe at the back.
Okay.
And then
So
they-
someone will go around.
Somebody will out. I gave them names.
Okay, good.
Each.
Yes, we're all ready. Good. Perfect. Okay, in the interest of time, there is a group that's already ready, I understand. So we can get started, Nicole. Thank you.
Hello. Oh, it's on.
It is.
Thank you. Okay, so we had a good conversation in our group. Starting off with, the first thing is that our future students are going to expect to have everything managed from their phone. Their ID, their access to their rooms at classrooms. They want to pay for everything at the cafeteria with their phone. This and their laptop are the only tools that they're going to be carrying around. They don't want paper, they don't want books. Everything is from these devices. But what does that mean? That means that we need to have sustainable energy sources and we need to have the backbone of our universities ready to accommodate that. The other thing that we talked about was most likely our future students will be opting to stay close to home or at home.
Yeah.
Rather than needing accommodation. They'll choose universities that are close to where they're living, where their support network is, where someone's paying for their meals and they don't have to worry about that. And it reduces the overall carbon footprint of that travelling. And maybe, if we're really putting our future hats on, maybe we're attending classes as holograms. Maybe we're staying at home and we're virtually attending classes with our colleagues.
Great. So how do you cater for the in-person collaboration sessions?
Well, in person, our technology is going to mean that we're sitting here virtually, but we're using holograms to do that. Oh, I mean, this is blue sky thinking,
Yes,
right?
yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. The next group.
Sorry, we might be at a risk of repeating what you were saying. I could not hear anything.
Okay.
So if I repeat, please just excuse me.
You're welcome.
You're welcome to repeat.
It's not an excuse for copying and pasting. Ma'am, we have views that I think we need to upgrade our view to be internationalization, meaning we should not reason capacity from a perspective of one country. There must be exchange programs that are able to transport from country to country. Some of them must be online international studies. Somebody can just study in Swaziland while they're actually registered in South Africa. So that ultimately the desk is not an issue. Facility is not the only way of studying sitting in a classroom. And maybe the exchange programs from universities to universities, according to the excellence in faculties. Another university should be able to deploy students for humanities in another country elsewhere and take engineering from another country and so on. So that ultimately when we reason, these numbers must be from a perspective of sharing. If we are going to debate South Africa in its own local context, Swaziland is in local context, then we are not subsidizing each other as the SADC region.
Yep.
Thank you.
And limiting the students' opportunities. Thank you so much.
The next group is here at the back. The back.
One, two.
Afternoon. Afternoon, colleagues. Based on the figures or the demographics that have been presented there, we looked at the population being majority or over 60% of population being under the age of 25. And we see the opportunity there if we can capitalize in that in terms of skilling most of those people or those younger people, because that's the future of our country, and taking into account as well the shortage in terms of skills in the FM industry. I think there is an opportunity there that we can tap in as well in terms of ensuring that we are well skilled and well equipped. We also looked at the challenges technologically, especially when it comes to ICT infrastructure within the country or within the continent as a whole. Actually, that there's a whole lot of other technological advancements that we can look into, like your satellite communications, to ensure that at least the broadband challenges that we are currently experiencing within the country or within the continent can also be addressed. Technologies like your Starlinks that have not yet reached our shores, but hopefully soon that will be. But yeah, with all that being said, I will be in a position to say yes, by 2050, we will be ready for the growth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Apparently, the group doesn't exist anymore. It disappeared. Oh, there's another one there.
Good afternoon, colleagues. What we've looked at is the infrastructure. My brother there already spoke about it. We're saying that the current infrastructure needs to be maintained, and we also need blended learning environment whereby students are able to learn at home. They are also able to learn with the modern ways without them having access to the classroom. And uninterrupted electricity connectivity, uninterrupted Wi-Fi connectivity, and sustainable solutions to water and sanitation. And because we know that some of our rural areas are struggling with water and sanitation, and we also need infrastructure that is able to accommodate students with disabilities. And we want a green environment. The environment must be paperless. We must just go to the modern ways of 4IR And also, the PQM must also evolve as we are growing and we are evolving. The PQM must also make sure that it's aligned to the economic needs. I think that is where we are. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you
That's it.
so much for the contributions that came from the floor. Some really good, thought-provoking suggestions. But you can also imagine how it will be if real students were involved in this planning exercise. Thanks for the exercise again. Growth and the FM professional as a whole. Definitely through some collaborations that we have already spoken to with Africa FM, because we are looking at a continent-wide problem that both as partners and the wider Hefma community can deal with in a very concerted way. Again, the main one is also involving students and closing the talent gap. Engaging students in projects not only enhance campus operations, but also expose them to the profession at an earlier stage. This helps bridge the gap in the talent gap and prepare students for a career that's worth $1.2 trillion globally. We don't have the actual stats for our African continent, so you can imagine where we could be if we were all resourced and ready for the increase in population. I was also glad to hear earlier on that there's a huge advocacy from Hefma towards adoption of ISO standards. As the chair of the GDP9 ISO standards in Botswana, it's a necessity. We have to be internationally aligned and what more of educational institutions. By doing so, we will ensure that we have consistent quality and sustainable benchmarking, helping campuses align with global best practice and maintaining operational excellence. Opportunities for research and development. Africa FM did a skills gap analysis in 2021, and we are due for another one. And we were only able to get responses from under 500 respondents. And it was clear that majority of all those who've come into this profession did not train from an entry level of a facility management professional. We all came into this profession almost by chance. So with strategic planning in place, really we can give the industry the leverage it needs, especially to cater for the growing numbers that we are experiencing. I want to just finish off by also recapping the main areas of my presentation to remind us here that we have a big population that is going to be under the age of 25, which is 60%. And rapid urbanization is another concern that we must really start planning around. And ensure that our students see sustainability as a core value for them. Technology integration is, again, another one that we've spoken to even from this exercise. Professionalizing facility management and being key drivers. The support from Hefma is critical, especially with all the institutions that we have already on board, the TVETs. The capacity that you have can really support the growth of facility management across Africa. In closing, I want to say there is an opportunity, but the challenge is also big. May we just take this back and implement as much as possible and be able to come back to say, in terms of that, the projected over 500 million population, what have we done to plan between now and 2050, as well as closing the skills gap. I want to thank you so much. I know I've gone a little bit more, but I want to, again, thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts and actually have your involvement as well. It's been a very good afternoon for me. Thank you.
Will you welcome questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Open to
Open to questions, comments.
Your input as well. Please.
Anything else? Colleagues, any questions to Memora Pedi? Any comments?
Going once.
VC, thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. We just came from a USAF conference last week where we were discussing the University of the future, what it's going to look like. What came out very clearly from our discussions is that there's going to be more flexible learning. It's going to take place in smaller modules or bite-sized modules, and people will prefer to work from, the future student is not necessarily going to be 18 to 25, it's probably going to be an adult student. People will prefer to stay home and rather interact with the university via virtual platforms. So it's almost like buffet type learning, if one puts it in a nutshell. So why should you build more residences if it might not be needed in future, because you might have an oversupply? I mean, currently I've had a conversation with a colleague over lunch, and it says that in the Braamfontein area, if you look at the number of beds available between Wits University and UJ, there's actually an oversupply of beds right now. So aren't you going to overcapitalize by thinking in a way that you must just build infrastructure? Think of the university or the TVET college of the future and try and conceptualize how that will look. And then you align the infrastructure needs based on the realities of the time. I'm not saying that not more infrastructure is needed. I'm just saying that common sense dictates to me, in any case, that the type of learning that we're going to have in future is different. And already we see it's morphing in that direction. It's different from what we have now. Talk to any young kid, young adult, my apology, between the age groups 18 to 25, and they will tell you that traditional university, the way it is now, it's not for them. They don't want to be captured in a 3-year, 4-year program. They want to plug in and out based on the need, based on what they like. That's why people are talking about demodularization. They're talking about short courses. They talk about continuous professional learning, badging, micro-credentialing. And that's the way education is moving worldwide. Thank you.
That's correct. I'd like to say that infrastructure development isn't necessarily just physical infrastructure. So the technological side of it, if we are prepared from a technological infrastructure planning, then we are already taking care of our future needs. But it's one thing not having the right technological infrastructure and not having even the physical infrastructure. So us being aware of our demographics means that we plan one way or the other, but being aware of what will support in our future educational needs. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
There's 2 more other questions.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Just for me to check on the issue of, whilst Prof is saying we may need to forget about some of the future buildings in terms of the student accommodation and facilities, but maybe one needs to look at the formation of the universities and their PQMs, because you have those universities that are more on the technical and practicals that need to be done in the labs. And whether you move into your blended learning, you still need the facilities that will assist. Otherwise, you'll end up being a university that does engineering and other science programs that does not have people that have got experience on the ground. They only listen to you over your whatever system that you are using. So there needs to be a balance, that's my view. There needs to be a balance between what you put as what type of a university are you and what your PQM looks like. And then in that space, because if we move with what Prof is proposing, it means get rid of these professionals here. You still need the facilities managers to deal with the infrastructure and provision of services in that space. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's well said.
One more question here, and Ian there, and this is the last one. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Mine is to speak to taking a look at the current growth targets most universities have. Currently we have... Okay, I hope I'm clear. You know, most universities right now have growth targets when it comes to institutional numbers, and indeed have a campus infrastructure plan that is there. We have land that is available to certain universities. The reality of it is that there are fiscal constraints that come with funding. We don't have adequate funding to achieve certain infrastructure developments. So there is real commercialization that needs to happen from an institutional level, right? So with that said, how do we get academic professionals, right, and support professionals to think commercially? Because it's very foreign to us to think commercially. And if you don't think commercially, whether you're thinking online learning or you're not, you won't achieve any of that. So how do you drive a commercial outlook in an academic space where there is more often than not resistance towards thinking commercially, because education needs to be available and accessible to all? So maybe if we can also touch base on how that can be achieved and the outlooks around that. Thank you.
I think to that point, I'd say let's benchmark with the UK, because their model for education was primarily also from an economic point of view. So if we don't look at our institutions as, you know, income generating or a commercial sector, then it becomes a bit of a difficult one. But again, it's also motivated by you know, the governments of each country. So there's no one answer that will really speak to this question that you've raised. But again, I think to look at how other institutions, both here and internationally, have, you know, put their structures in place and how they've worked is maybe a good starting point. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. As we look forward to the campus of the future, the university of the future, I think it'd be a very sad thing that education meant people stayed in their homes and stayed in their bedrooms. I think universities have got a responsibility to drive interaction and drive community and drive place. That, you know, we're educators, so it's really, really important that we bring people together. That said, I support the colleague. Lecture theatres, certainly in the UK, we're seeing poor occupation, but our focus at my university is to build those practical spaces that was mentioned. Our nurses, our doctors, our engineers, you can't learn to do that at home. Yeah. You come into practical spaces. So as estate directors and FM, it's our responsibility to create those spaces that people come together and learn together, because it's a very, very sad world if we sit in our bedrooms to do that.
Yeah. And of course, we learned even post-COVID that a lot of people actually go to work also for social interaction. So not everybody has a choice of wanting to stay home. Whilst there are those who benefit from working from home because it's quiet, because it's more conducive for them, but that wouldn't necessarily suit everyone. So we need to be balanced in how we view this, and that's for another conversation. Thank you.
One last question here.
Thanks, ma'am. It's more of a comment.
Okay.
Just on your point of professionalization, I think there must be a desire to legislate. And in a sense, I'm speaking about facilities managers demanding that an act be established that actually regulate, moving from a point of association to regulation and legislation. Ultimately, what it does is it gives power to sue or to take lawsuits when there's negligence on the work of facilities management. Currently, what you have, you have structures that are not enforcing as yet. As much as there is accreditation demands in the profession of facilities management, so many people still make it through the crack. Because even if you go to a higher education institution, for you to find a built-in degree that started from a first year, one would have to educate me how many universities are offering a facilities management qualification that starts from first year and build towards a degree, except that people build built environment qualifications and then advance towards facilities management. Thank you.
That's a very good point. I would like to invite anyone from the floor who can tackle that one or at least comment on that one. Anyone with thoughts?
There's one at the back.
Yeah, so. Lisilo. Okay, thanks. Thank you. My comment was initially going to be on the issue of the PQM that USAF Teaching and Learning Conference has debated on what the University of the Future would look like. And those are decision makers, by the way. So now, today, we are in a higher education, in a facilities management conference, and colleagues are essentially saying, hold on, you still need physical spaces, more physical. So my input was going to be, shouldn't then there be a further discussion between USAF and Hefma and how, look into this issue together and come up with a way forward for the sector that will be able to help the sector. So I think that's something that is very, very helpful. It will be good to have Hefma attending the Teaching and Learning Conference, USAF Teaching and Learning Conference next year, Prof. Crouch, if you can convince your colleagues to allow the facilities guys to have some inputs into the conference. Yeah. So I think that will be helpful. And I don't think calling for more legislation, universities don't, they usually talk about being prescriptive and all that, but calling for more legislation does not help. I think between the Engineering Council and the Quantity Surveying Councils and the ones that he's talking about, my view is that between them, I think he wants a facilities management council. I think that's what he wants. But will that help this country to have a separate, because who built the facilities is the engineers, the architects, and the quantity surveyors. So, and who has to, maintain them also. So I'm not sure whether it will help to have another regulatory body. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
There's a response here.
Okay.
No, just to, the reason for the response is that I represent another body, so I don't want to live with misconception that I'm calling for a new body to be established. No. Legislation can expand within what exists and accommodate a profession within another, even amongst those that he mentioned.
Right.
So it's not a call for an additional institution to exist elsewhere. I just wanted to qualify that. Thanks.
Thank you. There's definitely room for further discussions. So I think for now we are done. And thank you so much for your inputs and your thoughts. Really, they do matter. I'm sure Hefma will take these into consideration in future conferences. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Lindo. Please hand over the gift. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, Memorapende. And thank you. We've come to the end of this program this afternoon, colleagues. We're not going to have an address and message of support by Yusuf, unfortunately due to compelling commitments. Mr. Mabizela is unable to come through. So we have come to the end of today's session. And you are requested that later on you join Hefma and all the other EXCO colleagues at the cocktail function starting at 6 o'clock. There is a bus moving from campus to the hotel. It fetches people at Southern Sun. Anybody else who doesn't want to drive can join into the bus. It will come fetch people at 5:30, back to the cocktail, and back to the hotel later on as well. Colleagues, you are also urged to the proceedings. The conference tomorrow starts at 8:30, and you are requested to be on time. I know you've been on time today. We were running behind schedule, but everything else is now in place. So you are for the sessions prepared for you tomorrow. So yeah, this is the end of today. Thank you, colleagues. Cameraman.